I keep God first. I see evil, when I converse.
Not today, say.
This how God works. Play my position, what is given with no concerns.
Go, 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 go.
Set it off. Top of the morning, I'm gonna set it off. You living boring, I'm gonna set it off. Shooting, I'm scoring, I'm gonna set it off. Like soldiers torn, I'm gonna set it off. Son of God, no, I am not son of man. Blessings keep falling, the fingers keep coming in. I got you, but just know I'm texting like Uncle Sam. Left to the bank, you know that I'm coming in. We don't do it for the bands though, we don't do it for the clout. Legacy on the line, so I'm moving in and out. Seen good ones turn top dog, greedy ones get knocked off. I keep looking at the bench like I could never not ball. Coach keep me in the game, Curry deadly with the range. I keep looking in the mirror like, who is he? I'm insane. Who am I? He insane. Guess I ain't the one to blame. What's done is done, won't change. Time to live up to my name. Real will be real, fake gon' fall. Took time with this here, I'm made for a while. No sleeping while I won't fall. No sleeping while I want it all. I keep God first. I see evil, when I converse.
Not today, say.
This how God works. Play my position, what is given with no concerns.
Go, 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 go.
Set it off. Top of the morning, I'm gonna set it off. You living boring, I'm gonna set it off. Shooting, I'm scoring, I'm gonna set it off. Like soldiers torn, I'm gonna set it off. Told my baby, meet me at the bank. Told my mama, I'ma break the trend. Locked in, I'ma change the weight. Working for my baby's kids. Hard times couldn't make the rent. Working hard couldn't save a cent. Lonely nights, just me and God. Swear to him, always made the ends. Grab a paper, see the news. Hate coming by the tools. Walk a mile in my shoes. Something you can never do. Got my back against the wall. Bet I always pull through. Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Sending shots, I block 'em. Superman with the moves. Rock 'em, sock 'em, drop, pop 'em. Play to win, never lose. Run it up, I top 'em. Plate full, belly too. I hip hop or pop 'em. Anything I could do. The real won't be real, fake gon' fall. Took time with this here, I'm made for a while. No sleeping while I won't fall. No sleeping while I want it all. I keep God first. I see evil, when I converse.
Not today, say.
This how God works. Play my position, what is given with no concerns.
Go, 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 go.
Set it off. Top of the morning, I'm gonna set it off. You living boring, I'm gonna set it off. Shooting, I'm scoring, I'm gonna set it off. Like soldiers torn, I'm gonna set it off.
I'm trying to touch the States this time. 2021. Yeah, show him I can still rap though.
Now I'm in the game, I was on the bench. First I was renting, now I'm collecting rent. Run it up. First it with the Beamer, now I want the Benz. Spending all the back like here I go again. Outside says the chirp, now the camera phone. Told you I'ma make, keep the channels on. Why you acting different when the camera's on? Why you acting different like your paper long? 8 day wake up and I thank God. Bad decision got you wishing you could say nah. I city gritty, you could get hit any day now. On my mama, I'ma move my family way out. With some 20s, 50s, hundreds, thousands, millions, billions, trillions, zillions. I'm talking Amazon money, talking so much money I could mess around and buy Amazon. I been winning, I'm like, why me? I heard these labels wanna buy me. I don't need you, boo, I style me. I roll G's and they grind me. Now I'm on my game, nothing is the same. Who am I to blame? Money made me change. Cardi in my ring when I'm switching lanes. Money in the carry on them Boeing planes. Money in the carry on them Boeing planes. Now I got $1 for all those rainy days. Ain't have a day off in like 80 days. I got hustles in like 80 ways. Kids if you won't take a lazy day. Wifey with me told me take a break. I keep going to the paper street. Then it's trips out to Montego Bay. If I take the job, bet I'll get it done. I said it before, I'm a 101. I just caught some ones, only wearing ones. Fornicate the funds, money made me calm. Diamonds on your neck, bet they on your neck. You want that watch, you better rock a tech. You want that chain, you better cop a vest. You want the check, but can you make it stretch?
You owe me, you should've schemed good. Now I got you alright. Hot girl summer, had to put you on nice. Talking on my ear, alright. She just want the Louis, but I got from Off-White, right? Racks under my pillow, now I sleep good. LA onto the choker so she can breathe good. And my little babies get whatever they want. If I say it, I mean it, no front.
I know, I roll, no drip, this a river, I roll,
no drip.
I roll, no drip, this a river, I roll.
I know,
I roll, no drip, this a river, I roll,
no drip.
I roll, no drip, this a river, I roll,
I know.
Det var första gången vi möttes. Våra blickar bara möttes. Kommer du ihåg det igen? Kommer du ihåg igen? Du vill ha icy little fingers. Då du vet det chalas. All in, ingen broms, schackmatt på din vänster hand. Du är så viktig baby. Ja, du är allians. Du är försiktig baby. Men du gav mig en chans. Det är 50-50 baby. Men det är balans. Jag växlar upp med dig baby. Ingen annan. Det var fan ingen dans på någon ros innan jag träffade någon som det. Som det baby.
for you. Choose wisely. We're at it again, ladies and gentlemen. It's peace and greetings as I bring it to you live from the greatest state in the Union, the Tar Heel State. And we're going to have a powerful show on today talking about the chronicles of manhood and also the pain associated with broken men in America. As you guys know, and I know, Jada Smith, the wife of Will Smith, appears to have broken him from some of the things that he struggled with in the past. So get your pens ready. Let's share this content. Help me get to 3,000 subs. We're doing a great job, guys, and we're going to bring it to you live. So sit back, relax, and we're about to start the show in a minute. Get ready. Bringing it to you live once again from the greatest state in the Union, the Tar Heel State, where the topography is serene, pristine, and verdant green, where every day is Father's Day, and where manhood is part of hills and valleys, victories and failures, and whereas men, we don't agree on all things or ideologies, but tonight we come together as allies of a common cause only to dissipate once the crisis is over. Now listen, I'm about to drop some fire for your mind. But before I drop that fire, let's explore why we are doing the Manhood Chronicles. All right. So we are here live, and we're going to have a powerful show on today as we continue to talk about the mental health issues that are impacting many men, especially black men. Listen to this. I've said in the past that a broken man is a hopeless man, and a hopeless man is a very dangerous man. And it appears that men like Will Smith is still broken for some of the traumas that he experienced from the past. We can talk about money. We can talk about finances. We can talk about world travel. We can talk about all of those elements, but if we don't understand the pathologies that more or less lie within the mind, the accomplishments that we've more or less occurred or accrued over time really means nothing. Many men suffer in silence, guys. Many men suffer in silence. Many men don't get the help that they deserve because they don't know where to get it, or they tend to internalize the pain from the past. And it appears that brokenness is a pathology that happens a lot of times in the black community. Many black people stigmatize the importance of therapy. And because they stigmatize the importance of therapy, many men continue to suffer. Every man that's listening to this show, including the women, but mostly the men, have suffered in silence for a myriad of reasons. And what happens when that brokenness is not dealt with, that implosion turns to an explosion. And that explosion many times impacts the ones that they love the most. I've told you, men, that you must learn in order to gain power, you must not defer power. If you defer power, then you're not getting your needs met. And the way you get your needs met is by knowing who you are as a man. But sadly, many men are broken within the contextual framework of America. Many don't understand the power that they have in order to get the outcomes that they desire. And so what I want you guys, the five that are listening, hopefully we can get the audience bigger. I want you guys to share the content. I want you to share this content with at least 5 people. And we're going to have a powerful discussion on today with my dear friend Sarel Bay, Shannon Rawls, in a pre-recorded show where we're talking about the brokenness of black men. Some of you women are with men that are broken. And they can't love you the way you deserve to be loved because they are broken. They've been broken by toxic mothers. They've been broken by the ravages of the inner city. They've been broken by women that broke their heart, because when men fall in love, that's when men are most vulnerable. And when you look at Will Smith is an example of a man that's been broken. Will Smith is an example of a man that has not done the shallow work. Will Smith is an example of a man, like so many other men, that continue to defer power, which in essence makes Will Smith a blue pill simp. Now listen, guys, I told you guys in the past that there are two types of simps. One is the conscious simp, and one is the unconscious simp. Now you might say, what does that mean? The unconscious simp basically means that he's a man that's supplementing irrational male patterns. It's a pattern of behavior that so many American men elicit to women that don't respect them. And I told you guys that there's a percentage of our women in America that have narcissistic traits, but also there's a percentage that have narcissistic personality disorder. And so when you defer your power, when you supplement irrational male patterns, you're actually deferring power. And the way you defer that power is that you feed that narcissistic supply. We call it a feedback loop. You're supplying that narcissist with power instead of demanding power. And when that happens, women don't respect you, men. Women only respect power and strength. That's why Jada Pinkett is constantly doing the same things over and over again, because she doesn't respect him. And that not only happens with Jada Smith and Will Smith, it also happened with other men. Men only respect strength as well. And when you defer your power and give your power away, it does not make that person respect you. Now, I need you guys to listen. I'm a very strong person. My personality is very strong. Some say it's intimidating, but I have a very strong personality. I respect all men, but I bow to none. I never have, and I never will. And if any man want to try me physically, they can get this work. Whether I beat them or whether they beat me, they can get this work. And I stand firm on what I say. I'm not the kind of man that will disrespect another man. But if you disrespect me, I will confront you man to man. If your mouth get greasy and your hands get slick, you can get this work. And that's real talk. And I stand by that. And so I want guys to understand that when men defer their power, they're losing their strength. And, when men do that on a consistent basis, then the women don't feel protected. That's why women a lot of times test men. They test them. Shout out to my man, James Turner. I got much love for my brother, James Turner, for the $20 super chat. Much love, brother. And James Turner said, hey, Kosher. He said, looking fresh and degrees. Yes, brother. I'm very degrees. My mind was calibrated going to South America. I had a good time. I met some very interesting people. Shout out to Global Mall. Shout out to my man Al Grease. Shout out to my man Aaron Ferris from Black Man Travels. And shout out to some of the brothers from IBMOR as well. But I had a good time. I had a very great time, and I want you guys to understand how privileged you are to live in the United States. I saw a lot of abject poverty, but I saw hard-working people. And I want you guys to be degreased. I want your mind to be degreased. Al Grease is coming up with Frustrated 3 at some point. And I want you guys to be degreased. I want your mind to be restructured and remodified. Shout out to my man, Drago's Flame. Much love, brother. I love you, Drago's Flame, for the $10 super chat. I love how you guys are coming in. I'm going to drop some fire for your mind. But this is going to be a good show. I want the men to talk. I want the women to come in and share some insight too. But there's a lot of brokenness within the contextual framework of America. And we got a powerful show coming up tomorrow. And so once again, thank you to everybody that's listening. Shout out to my brother, James Turner and Drago's Flame for the super chats. There go my dear sister, Miss Parker. I miss Miss Parker. I love me some Miss Parker. I love this message. I will be sharing. Thank you, KC. Much respect. And I love you too, sister. I love your insight. I love your wisdom. I love that you are a sister that's willing to change, a sister that's willing to understand how black men are thinking. And so once again, guys, there's a lot of brokenness in the black community. There's a lot of brokenness with our black men. And because of that brokenness, many are suffering in silence. Many don't understand that they have more power than they realize. But guys, we live in a world where many of our children are born in single-parent homes. Many are born out of wedlock. And we have a clinical term called the locus. That's called the level of care utilization system. But also we have something called the CAL locus. The CAL locus actually stands for the child adolescent level of utilization system. And the biggest barrier or the biggest issue to helping that child not deal with brokenness is having a healthy environment. Having a healthy environment and having a healthy community is very important for a child to feel safe and whole. But what happens when our children grow up in broken homes? What happens when our children grow up in broken families? What happens when our boys have been touched and no one has heard them and no one has heard their pain? What happens when our brothers or our men have seen their mothers have multiple men come in and out of the home? What happens when our brothers and our young men see other men getting killed on the streets, or when they don't have the love and the guidance from their fathers? What happens? And as I told you guys in the past, that a hopeless man is a broken man, and a broken man is a very dangerous man. And so Will Smith is dangerous because Will Smith could snap at some point. And I did a show in the past called Beware of the Rubber Band Man. And a lot of men are rubber band men. They are just walking time bombs waiting to snap. And if some of you guys were born in the 70s or in the 80s, there was a song or group by the Spinners called The Rubber Band Man. And a lot of men are rubber band men. They're waiting to snap because they have not done the shallow work. They have not done the work to help them heal. And until they do that work to help them heal, they're going to be a peril not only to themselves, but they're going to be a peril to others. And that's what happens when we have the dysfunction that we have in our society. There's a lot of dysfunction in our society. There's a lot of dysfunction in the black community. And what Will Smith is doing, he's allowing Jada Smith to emasculate him as a man. And some of you guys have been emasculated because you deal with toxic women like Jada Smith. Women that have what I call the thug imprint. She's been imprinted by a more, which appears to be more dominant man. So I want you guys to listen to this. And we're going to take some notes because, you know, like my man Black Ram said, in therapy, we don't tell lies. And shout out to my man Black Ram. In therapy, we don't tell lies, but we tell the truth. So I want you guys to look at this. And guys, thank you for the generous cash apps. Make sure you guys share the content because I want to see our black men liberated. I want to see our women liberated because when the men are liberated, then we can liberate our women. When the men know what power they have, then they can empower their women. When the men empower the women, they can empower the community. When they empower the community, they can empower the nation. And so we need women that are cooperative, women that are willing to work with their men. Women that are willing to understand the pain that some of our men are dealing with. Women that are not willing to more or less set aside the brokenness of many of our black men. Because many are suffering in silence. So guys, I want you guys to share the content. Please share the content. And we're going to take some notes. We're going to have a comprehensive conversation. We're going to take notes, so hold tight.
On a spiritual journey to cleanse the poisonous, unloving parts of our heart. You know, foreign.
Hold tight.
So she reassured little Will that there was nothing that he could have done.
Will's self-titled memoir is full of refreshingly candid reflections. In the deeply personal book, he also opens up about his sex life with his wife, Jada Pinkett Smith, whom he married back in 1997.
Our marriage was the most difficult, grueling, and excruciating thing that we've ever taken on in our lives. And, you know, we're just not quitters. We only ever worked on ourselves individually and then presented ourselves to one another better than we were previously.
During a recent sit-down with Oprah Winfrey for her series, The Oprah Conversation on Apple TV+, she read an excerpt from the book where Will talks about the early days of their relationship.
As far as I was concerned, there were only two possibilities. I was going to satisfy this woman sexually, or I was going to die trying.
And while the couple may have been hot and heavy back then, Will says it was and still is deeper than that.
Me and Jada, to this day, if we start talking, it's 4 hours. It's 4 hours if we exchange a sentence.
Really?
Yeah, and it's like, it's it's the center of why we've been able to sustain and, you know, why we're still together, not choking the life out of each other.
All that echoes what Will told ET about how they make it work back in 2007.
It is not your responsibility to make your wife happy, right? Just like it's not my wife's responsibility to make me happy. It's my responsibility to make me happy, and it's her responsibility to make her happy, and then we're gonna come together and build on that happiness.
As for Jada, Will says she was never interested in a traditional marriage. In fact, she didn't even want a wedding. Their union, it's all about bettering themselves and coming together stronger.
Will and Jada are on a spiritual journey to cleanse the poisonous, unloving parts of our hearts.
Wow.
And we're doing it together in this lifetime, no matter what.
So when you guys see this Will Smith, Jada Pinkett fiasco, do you see a man that's manifesting power, or do you see a man that's been broken? When you look at Will Smith, do you see a masculine man? Do you see a confused man? Or do you see a man that's mentally damaged? Once again, when you look at Will Smith, do you see a masculine man? Do you see a confused man? Or do you see a man that's mentally damaged to the point that he loves a woman more than he loves himself? And that's what has happened to Will Smith. Will Smith has said that he was enraged about the love affairs that Jada had with Tupac. You know, because he dealt with a lot of unresolved trauma from his past, or he hasn't dealt with a lot of unresolved trauma from his past. And so how can a man deal with a woman that constantly emasculates him? Is it because he's concerned about the financial ramifications? Is it because somewhere in his past he has not adequately dealt with attachment styles? How can a man like Will Smith, when there are many women that would love to be with a man like him, he's funny, he's smart, he's not bad looking for 53. There are women that would die to be with Will Smith, but he continues to defer power. And I told you guys that the imprint that many men deal with is the mental imprint. Some of you men are still dealing with the mental imprint from the past. You have been imprinted by women that you fell in love with in high school, but those women didn't love you back. And that's what happened to, guys like, what's the guy named? The doctor, the famous doctor, Boyce Watkins. Boyce Watkins was imprinted by a prettier woman, but the question remains is, does that woman really love him? Or did she get with him after she had her fun and her sexual market value was actually lowered? And so many of our men still are mentally imprinted from a negative way. And because of that negative mental imprint, they continue to defer power. To the men that are listening, what do you see in Will Smith that you've done with other women in relationships? Because we're going to talk about it. What do you see in Will Smith that you've done with other women in relationships? Because some of you guys might be chronologically 30, 40, 50, 60, or damn near 70 years old, but you still have a negative mental imprint with some of the women that you dealt with in the past. And when that happens, until you do the shallow work to overcome it, you continue to go through a cycle of negative deprivation. And until you get out of that cycle, that woman that you're dealing with is not going to respect you, because women have a keen sense for more or less understanding men that have power. Women can pick up on men that feels like they're inadequate, because women are more in tune with nature. Women tend to be more in tune with their feelings, because women can feel powerful men and they can feel weak men. So what are you going to do to uncover so that you can recover as a man? What are you going to do to deal with, or more or less to get on par with the right level of psychosocial development? Because you can be cognitively or psychosocially, once again, 40 or 50, but mentally or developmentally, you're a young man. So I want you guys to keep listening, because I got another one I want to share with you guys about Will Smith. And, it's sad. It's really sad when you see Will Smith deferring power with Jada Pinkett, something so many men do in America. They defer power instead of demanding power. And I've been helping a lot of brothers behind the scene. And some of you guys are in need, please email me at kosherclinician@gmail.com. Please email me at kosherclinician@gmail.com, because you're not going to become the best version of yourself until you deal with those schema afflictions. And as I said before, a schema is a fixated way of thinking, and the affliction is often due to pain. All right, so hold tight, guys. I'll show you this one real fast. And I want you guys to take mental notes. Take mental notes of this, because it's very important, all right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's people's feelings involved.
Right.
Mm-hmm. It's healing that needs to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. So what happened, Jada?
Okay, so I think it was about 4 years ago, started a friendship with August. Mm-hmm. And we actually became really, really good friends. Mm-hmm. And it all started with him just needing some help.
And imagine this, men. The woman that you love is talking about her sexual liaison with another man. I understand some say that Will and Jada have an open sexual relationship, but men by nature are very territorial. Men struggle with the thought of another man touching their woman, nonetheless entering his woman, because men want to protect what's theirs. Bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. But just imagine your wife telling you about a love relationship with a man that she's so-called probably still in love with, but also in love with Tupac Shakur. What would that do to your mind? Would you snap? Could you see her the same, knowing that, she was touched by another man? We're gonna have a conversation after this, after I run all the preliminaries, and we're gonna talk about how some of you men are still broken from the past, the proper steps you need to do to recover and to heal, and also what do you see in yourself that you see in Will Smith. And to the guys that are listening, please share the content. Share the content with at least 5 people. Help this channel get to 3,000 strong. You guys are awesome, and I'm proud of you guys. And like I said, man, I'm back here in America. I'm going to continue to bring quality content as I work around my schedule as a therapist, okay? So keep listening.
Mm-hmm. Me wanting to help his health, his mental state. And we found all those different resources, to help pull him through. Mm-hmm. And from there, you and I were going through a very difficult time.
Yeah.
That particular point in time, it was indefinite.
Yeah. I really felt like we could be over.
We were
over. And then what did you do, Jada?
Well, I think from there, as time went on, I got into a different kind of entanglement.
I think you need to say clearly what happened.
And I got into an entanglement with August. That's what I said.
Hey, that's what I said.
An entanglement?
Yes. Yes.
A relationship?
Yes, it was a relationship. Absolutely.
We decided that we were going to separate for a period of time, and you go figure out how to make yourself happy.
I was in a lot of pain, and I was very broken. Now, in the process of that relationship, I definitely realized that you can't find happiness outside of yourself. Mm-hmm. And luckily enough, you and I were also going through a process of healing in a much different manner. Mm-hmm.
During that time, launched into an interaction with August. What do you feel like you were looking for?
I just wanted to feel good. Mm-hmm. It had been so long since I felt good.
Right. Husband, now I got to be with you at the press conference while you tell the world about your transgressions.
Well,
Like, I love my baby. I'm gonna stand by my baby no matter what.
You know, I definitely understand.
And the fact that they're laughing about it, in my mind, means it's very dysfunctional. What man sits with his wife and laughs about it? And not only is Will Smith broken, Jada Smith is broken as well. She needs a man that she can fix. It appears that Will Smith is too, healed in her mind. That's why he's probably boring to her. A man of his power, a man of his stature, and a man of his magnitude, jousting for love with a woman that in other countries, Will Smith would be a god. It's unfortunate, guys. Keep listening.
Understand why it would look that way or feel that way, but I actually don't look at it as a transgression at all. Through that particular journey, I learned so much about myself and was able to really confront a lot of emotional immaturity, emotional insecurity, and I was really able to do some really deep healing. It was really a joy to just help heal somebody.
Yeah. Because I wasn't sure I was ever going to speak to you again.
I know.
Yeah, like the fact that I'm speaking to you again is a miracle. I don't want to go through this no more.
Yeah, no, I don't either.
Yeah. I'm going to get you back first, and then...
You're going to get me back. I think you've gotten me back. I think we're good on that, okay?
Okay.
I wish, I wish that wasn't the case. I do. I wish that wasn't.
What masculine man sits with his wife? And I know every relationship is different, but what masculine man sits with his wife and she talks about a sexual affair with another man and just laughs it off? You can tell that Will Smith is hurt by this. This is something that happened in the past. But see, guys, this is what happens with so many modern American men. They think they come into a relationship given they're trying to make a woman happy. And they've done studies that says that a woman is most happy when she is loving and serving her man and nurturing him. And that man is happy when he's providing and protecting for his woman. But so many men have given their hearts and lives to women that are damaged because they have been imprinted by other men. And, can you imagine your wife still in love with a man or a ghost from the past? Tupac has been dead for years, over 20 years. But, she's still reveling over a man that's been dead for many years. It's really sad.
Hey, I sure wish it could be all magic and miracles.
Yeah.
Hey, that's probably true.
But, and I don't think it's about getting anybody back.
No, for me it is.
Okay. I'll give you that petty if that's what you want. But, I will definitely say it's just part of it.
Yeah.
If you expect to be with somebody for a lifetime.
25 years and counting.
We ride together.
We die together.
Bad marriage for life.
That's terrible.
You've been on a hell of a journey with me.
And that's so sad and goofy. That's not only sad, but it's very goofy. It's very goofy. Two toxic people, two broken people, trauma bonding, because that's what it is. It's trauma bonding. They're bonded to each other's trauma and dysfunction. And trauma bonding really is a term for domestic abuse issues, but I'm going to take it and stretch it a little bit because it looks like a form of trauma bonding, in my opinion. What man can more or less understand or more or less allow what Will Smith has allowed with Jada Pinkett Smith? It's really sad, guys. And so, guys, I want you guys to take notes. I want you guys to listen. We're going to have a good discussion because the question remains by the late, great Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass said it is easier to repair damaged children than it is to fix broken men. And there's a lot of broken men in America, black and white. Many are broken from seeing things that they never should have seen. And because therapy is not more or less exonerated in the black community, many continue to suffer in silence. And so it's unfortunate because until you get the proper help that you need, until you understand that you have inherent worth, until you understand the triggers and the things that you've been doing to keep you in that negative cycle of deprivation, you're not going to get the help that you deserve. So this is a show that I did with my man Shannon Rawls and Sarel Bay of Pillow Talk. And we're gonna break this down as well, guys, and we're gonna have a conversation. And then I'm gonna drop the link, and we're gonna have an even deeper conversation about why it's so important for Black men not only to get therapy, but also the struggles that Will Smith is having, because he's deferring power in this relationship instead of demanding power. And so we're going to talk about that. So hold tight, guys. Hold tight. So this is the show that I did with my dear friend Sarel Bay. And she asked the question, is it over for broken men? And you're not going to want to miss this. All right, so keep listening.
For women, we say there's the danger zone, right? 27 to 35. There's
this is my man Shannon Rawls too.
35 and up. But for men, is there a danger zone where he's irreparable? Is there a point that men, it's too late to turn that broken man into a whole man again, and he's going to just be broken forever? What is your thoughts on that, Kosher? Because I'm wondering, like, I talk to the young boys, I give them the game on how to become better men, because, you know, all the failures that I've had in life, I want to make sure that they navigate away from those. I don't want them creating no new roads. I'm like, bro, I already went down that road. Trust me, it leads you to failure, right? And so that's my thing for the young guys. For the older guys, I got friends, Kosher, that I grew up with, I graduated high school with, and when I try to pour into them, bro, it seems like it's going in one ear and out the other.
Yes, sir. Right.
Maybe that's just my anecdotal experience, or maybe there is an age where it's just too damn late to teach to fix a man, and he's going to be broken forever. Because I got people in my neighborhood who seems to be, whenever anything good comes to them, they somehow throw a monkey wrench in their own program just to stay in destitute and poverty. So
right.
Is it listening to we understand. Thank you everybody for teaching or giving us game on how these men become broken.
Yes,
is there any hope for the broken ones?
Well, listen,
their age.
Right. That's an excellent question, Shannon. So, you know, there's a such thing called the malleability of the mind. You know, human beings are very malleable, and you know they're more moldable or more malleable when they're at an earlier age. So the caveat to that discussion is similar to what I said earlier. Frederick Douglass said it's easier to build strong children than to repair broken men, but it's not impossible. It got to first start, Shannon, with self-introspection to be aware that you're broken. But so many people, Shannon, have a condition that I created, something I call a schema affliction, right? And so that fixated way of thinking is more comfortable because they fear the process of change. There's a saying, Shannon and Sarel, that says that change takes place when the pain of your current situation is greater than the act of change itself. But some people will rather mire in the cesspool of mediocrity because they have not yet had an existentialist crisis than to more or less challenge themselves inwardly and become the exemplar they need to become, because our time on this earth is getting thinner and thinner. You and I, we're Gen X, we're class of 90. And so our time on this earth is we're like in the fall of our lives. Eventually it will become winter. You and I are fine, Shane, because we're willing to do the shallow work or the self-introspection. So is it impossible? No, it's not impossible. But is it harder? Yes, because the mind is not as malleable once a person gets older, Shannon and Sarel, versus when they are younger, if that makes sense.
As you were saying before, just to add that, depending on the level also of trauma that they've gone through, right?
Right.
Trauma.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. It depends on the level of trauma. A lot of times. Barrett is funny. He said, "You're not a twin, Shannon." Yeah. But a lot of times, I just say I don't have the earrings. I got to get the earrings. But a lot of times, because of a severe trauma, that trauma is a barrier, and it goes back to what Sarel and I were talking about earlier. A lot of times, Shannon, people tend to repel the therapeutic process because they don't see any redeeming value in the therapeutic process. But the gospel says that no man lives unto an island unto himself. In the multitude of counselors, Shannon and Sarel, there's safety. So we repel the things that are good for us. We ingest the things that are bad for us. Shannon, you know it. Sarel, I know it. It should be at least 50 to 100 people looking at what Sarel is talking about tonight. But they don't value the things that are good for the soul. The soul food they don't want. They want fast food. And we have a generation of fast food junkies, not only physically, but mentally. They don't want it kosher, Shannon and Sarel. they don't want kosher. You know, every now and then I want to give them this. Fire I want to give them that fire for the mind, you know.
No,
kosher. But they don't want that kosher fire.
Nope.
They want something that's, you know, that's easy and quick. Listen, the process to success is a long, arduous road. Shannon Rawls didn't become the man that he is now overnight. It was through hills and valleys, victories and failures. It was through a process called the evolution of masculinity. I didn't become the kosher clinician overnight. I didn't get to matriculate at the University of North Carolina overnight. It was hard. But guess what? I've been galvanized through the fire called life, and I'm a stronger man. I don't feel like nothing can stop me at this point in my life because I'm willing to face my fears and to do the shallow work, to do the introspection.
No, because I was told that by a doctor a long time ago that it takes calamity for adults to change.
Yes, sir.
You know?
Right.
And so,
right.
when I go to the gym, you know, normally when I see overweight people in the gym that's working on their, you know, I'm talking about like morbidly obese, somebody super big. When I ask them, I say, you know, what got you in the gym? Oh man, the doctor said I'm gonna die in 6 months.
Right.
And it's like, oh, okay. So you know, the reason you here is because you was gonna die. You know, your cholesterol levels and your blood pressure was so bad, and that type 2 diabetes got on you. So that's what got you here. It was some kind of some life-threatening calamity that got you here. It wasn't just because you felt one day that you was just too big and you couldn't tie.
And the question remains, guys, when have you guys, or what existentialist crisis are you going through? An existentialist crisis basically means what's my purpose for existing? And that happens when you're either on your deathbed or on your sick bed. It happens when you fall in love and you find out the woman that you once loved no longer loves you. Or it can happen when some men begin to see and understand women for what they are, human. And that's where the red pill takes place. You begin to see things for what they are instead of seeing things for what you thought they were. And sometimes men will vacillate, do what's called stages of grief. They begin to vacillate. You know, it's called deny, anger, bargaining, anger, depression, bargaining, and acceptance. That's Kubler-Ross stages of grief. And when a man goes through those stages of grief, many times men still are stuck in the anger stage, which is called red pill rage. And they're still struggling because they come through a conniption and they realize that what they thought they once had is now lost. And I told you guys that men become imprinted through the mind first. Women tend to get imprinted through sex, but men tend to get imprinted from the mind. And many men are still struggling with the mental imprint of rejection from their childhood, but also from women that they actually love. When you can get over that mental imprint, you can become degreased. And once you become degreased, then you can start living your life on your own terms. And you will start demanding power instead of deferring power. Keep listening.
Your shoes. You just
yes, sir.
So
right.
But let me ask
You're
you
correct.
this: does that apply to men and women equally, or is that more of a is it more palatable for men to start change and to repair their brokenness? Women to start? Is it easier for women to change and repair their brokenness, or is it about the same, or is it more? You know, is it different between men and women?
Well, you know, that's an excellent question, Shannon. And while it's very dichotomous, I would say because of the genetic makeup of the woman, I would say, especially the modern American woman, I think it's harder for the woman than it is for the man. Most modern women, Shane, have a condition that I created called the Medusa effect. You know, like Medusa, when Medusa painted the portrait towards herself, she actually cracked because she couldn't, you know, deal with the inevitable. She couldn't take accountability. Most men, Shane, don't have a hard time of looking at themselves and say, you know what, man, I effed up. So I'm willing to do the work to get better if they're serious. I think a lot of times women have a condition called self-sabotage. And they self-sabotage themselves because they're not willing to do the introspection to look within and say, you know what, I got to make it better. And a lot of times, Shannon and Sarel, they have women, their friends that assuage them in their pathology instead of holding them accountable. So you know, I see what Elena Stotley said. I was tempted to say equal, but I would say that men are more apt to want to make those progressive changes than women a lot of times. Not saying that women won't do it, but I think because women are very emotional, and we live in a society where most women have been coddled in their pathology. They're not willing to look within introspectively and do the shallow work to change. It takes a very mature woman to do that. But when you got a girlfriend that you damn near, you fat, you overweight, and your girlfriend said, "Girl, you look good." Well, how in the hell are you gonna change?
Well, guys don't do that. Guys be like, man,
guys
get your
don't do
fat
that.
ass.
Exactly.
Come on, bro. What's up with them rolls? You got some titties? You getting some titties, bro?
Right.
So we quick to.
Right. Men are more willing to look at themselves and say, you know what, bro, I effed up. And so you said something very powerful, Shannon. You're correct. It's something called an existentialist crisis. That's normally due to a calamity. A lot of times men in the red pill space that went through an existentialist crisis, they realized after that woman lied to them, the woman they were with, they thought they thought that all women were angels. They were sugar and spice and everything nice. But they find out, that Raekwon was blowing their back out, they have an existentialist crisis. And now the women that they thought were, wholesome and pure, they realize they're just human. They don't esteem that woman at the level that they once did. Because most men have been conditioned to see women as wholesome and pure. I know I was.
Yeah. I think I'm kind of like separate. I think that way I'm kind of seeing it as like the women who do the work. I think women tap into their emotions, not women who don't take accountability. I think women who are, until you're willing to take accountability, it's going to take a long time. Because if you don't take accountability, you're done. Like you're not, it's how do you say it? It's impossible to heal if you don't take accountability.
Right.
So I get what you're saying in terms of like women in our groups, that a lot of times we are not with that straight up talk the way that men are, and will say, you're getting fat, hit the gym. We are more towards like the nurturing, and sometimes we nurture to a point that's negative.
Right.
But I think
I
that
totally
the
agree.
women,
Right.
you know what I mean? So I think that the women who do take accountability, once we do, because we cry, we'll get into our feelings, we'll get into that emotional space where we are devastated, where we feel like, okay, this has to change. The same way a man who hits rock bottom, who sees, I have nothing, everything that my ego took a hit, my family's not like with me. So I think it's, the way I see it, it's more like where you're at, or how deep you've been wounded, that makes you like strike back to then want to heal yourself and do something about it.
Well, it depends on the level of the pathology. It depends
Also,
on the
yeah,
level. It depends on the level of it. It depends on the temperament of the person. It depends on the social conditioning of the person, but also it depends on the maturity of the person. There are a myriad of factors that interplay in the evolution or the de-evolution of a person. It's a myriad of factors. But, once that person reaches that threshold of pain, right? Because normally people have to hit rock bottom before they can change. And that's why it's called an existentialist crisis. Once you hit rock bottom, you say, DAM, what's my purpose for living? I've been doing it the wrong way for so long. Now I'm ready for change. And so it happens with men and women. But I think because men traditionally are held accountable for their behaviors, we tend to face it more succinctly and more willingly. Whereas a lot of times society, right? But also some of their girlfriends, some of them tend to don't hold them accountable in their pathologies. They tend to assuage them in their pathology, which in essence causes them to continue on that negative track.
Yeah, and to that,
enablers,
right. Right. Mm-hmm.
So Elena is saying, but we do, though we are straight with each other, that is a myth. So I think so. Elena's my cousin. So I think in certain circles, and I'll say in my family, I've been lucky enough to have a lot of women and my family and my circle of friends, because you also choose who you hang out with, right? So my family, we've always been straight up. We're a gang of cousins. We're a group of cousins that we've had to face each other, and we sit and we talk. But I disagree that every group of women is like that, because I think a lot of times I get into other circles, and if I face a woman that is too combative with, let's say if I see a toxic mother, being toxic towards her child, there isn't much room for me to say, sis, I think if she's in that combative state and she starts screaming or gets agitated, I'm going to have very little room to speak up and say, listen, you're going to need to change. I think that needs to come from within and not.
And God, the question remains is that how many of you guys have been in situations with your mothers that your mothers have caused you to be broken? How many men that are listening to the 17 or 20 that are listening have been in families where you have been broken? And how has that brokenness impacted you in a negative way? If you've been impacted by a toxic mother, I want you guys to hit 1. If you have been impacted by negative relationships, I want you to hit 2. If you're still suffering from negative relationships and a broken mother, I want you to hit 3. And to the guys that are listening, please share the content. Share with as many people as possible as we continue to get this train moving. Thank you. I'm JJ Diesel Monk Cowboy. Diesel Cowboy Monk 79. Thank you, brother. Because we got to talk about the pathologies of our past and the pain in order to deal with and get healthy relationships in the future. Keep listening.
And not like, I don't think it's automatic, whereas men are used to talking to each other very bluntly.
As a matter of fact.
You guys just go boom, boom, boom.
Right.
And like if I bring a problem and one of my issues to one of my girls, I'm going to get a certain type of response. If I bring it to one of my boys, I'm going to get a different type of response. They may both be good, but they will be different. The man is going to take maybe less time and it's going to be like one hit, boom. It's going to be straight up. It's going to be very direct. Mm-hmm. My girls, they're going to be more nurturing.
Mm-hmm. Right.
More like, so depending on my ability to take on that information, I think that I'm speaking for myself. That's going to determine. I can see the guy and say, oh, he was toxic. He was mean. He said this, that. I don't like the way he spoke to me and disregard the message. Mm-hmm. And I can see my girl and, we can be, because it was more smooth, I can get mad at her a little bit, but I'm not going to like X her out of my life. So that's the way that's my experience with it.
Well, the Sarel Bays of the world, when you tell a lot of times they repel women like you. They get mad at
mm-hmm.
you. They call you a hater or you're a pick me, mm-hmm. or you don't love the sisterhood. And so Shannon, you see it and I see it, man. I don't see this evolution I don't see things going up from the uptick. What's the lady's name? April Mason, but also Nicole Michelle. They're not even dealing with a lot of our women when it comes down to correction because they are very recalcitrant. They're like, some of them, their heads are like bricks. And, in the gospel, it says you have to break up that fallow ground. Fallow ground is hard. So if the ground is hard, it cannot be germinated. So you don't waste your time on fallow ground. You go to fertile ground. The mind is symbolic of the ground. If the ground is hardened, it can't be germinated. So a lot of men are saying, what the hell with it? We do these conversations because we love our women, but if they don't want to listen, if they receive not the truth, you shake the dust off your feet and you keep it. And
we were just talking about it on, we just talked about it on my channel. I was talking about, boss chicks and money chasers.
And guys, look at the response. Thank you, brothers, for responding. Many men said it was 1, some said it was 2, but some said it was 1 and 2, meaning toxic moms. They've been broken by negative women. But then on top of that, they've been broken by toxic mom and negative women, which is a 3. But some of you guys wonder why some of these men are so angry. Because no one has helped them process through their pain. And that's why I do what I do as a licensed clinical therapist to help men deal with the brokenness from their past, to help men understand that they are needed, that they are loved, and that they are valuable. I just came back from South America. And I will tell you that if you're a sucker in America, you'll be a sucker overseas. But if you do the work to help you uncover from the things you struggle with in the past, if you learn how to uncover so that you can recover, then you'll be a better version for the next woman that you decide to marry. But sometimes the cycle of therapy is years, because we all pick up bad and negative habits. But I do this work, guys, because I want to see you guys become better. And so that's why I do non-diagnostic consultations at kosherclinician@gmail.com. That's kosherclinician@gmail.com for a non-diagnostic consultation. We're going to have a discussion in a few minutes, guys, and I'm going to get back to work. But, it's said, once again, by Frederick Douglass, that it's easier to repair damaged children than it is to repair broken men. And we're going to have a discussion. Keep listening.
And PhDs and why men don't want them at a certain age.
Mm-hmm.
And BGS came on and I asked, can we put, can the toothpaste be put back in the tube at this point?
Right.
And by and large, the answer is no.
It's no.
It's basically just got to teach the young ones because it's too late for the old ones, so that's why I came up and asked. I was just curious, like, damn, they're making some good points as to how these men became broken, but is there anything we can do about these broken dudes?
Right.
And I get it, because I was broken. After but what got me in, like I tell my story all the time about how 16 years ago, I looked older than I do now. And I aged in reverse, but I only aged in reverse because my first wife, before we divorced, she called me a fat bastard. And I looked in the mirror and they were staring at me, a fat bastard. And I said, damn, she called me a fat bastard. And I am a fat bastard. And I was just like, oh man,
to the real world.
Welcome to the real world. And at that point, I got my shit together. I'm wondering now, that was a broken man needing some repair. But I don't know how many people can. I'm glad you gave me some perspective on that. And then I'm glad Sarel is basically like, yo, even with her cousins saying that women, and I understand where her cousin's coming from, and maybe from her perspective. And a lot of times it's cultural too.
It's cultural too, maybe, right? That's true. Right.
Maybe your cousin, I don't know, is your cousin American or if she's from a different, has a different background. But by and large, like Sarel said, if a woman asks a woman, am I fat in this dress? Oh, girl, well, you look all right. It's going to be nice and soft. Right. It's going to be nice and cool. Right. She's going to rub on you and it's going to take a little bit of time. And then by that time, it may be too late. And if she don't hear that enough from enough people, she'll never believe it.
Right.
But when it comes to guys, it's like, yeah, you fat in them jeans. Dude, why are you wearing them? Go take that shit off. What's wrong with you? Go put on something that you can fit.
Right.
That's true, because and I say this speaking from experience because I've done it myself, because and I think there's like a little nuance that could be added is that women, we don't judge other women the same way men judge them. So for instance, if I have one of my girls who's at a certain size, I may find her beautiful, but on the market, she's not going to receive that same type of attention and the same type of love. And when she's asking me, am I too fat?
She ain't asking for her inner beauty.
So she
don't want her. She ain't asking you about her inner beauty.
Exactly.
But that's what y'all give her. You love her and she's beautiful on the inside, but you answering a question she's not asking.
Exactly.
She wants to know on the sexual marketplace.
Yeah.
Am I fat?
Yeah.
And what you're supposed to say is, girl, yes. Yes, you fat. You knew that. Why you even asking me that? You just you looking for me to confirm that you can go out looking like that. Take them damn leggings off. What's wrong with you?
Right. Listen,
you know what? And I'm sorry to cut you off, but you know what? It's the same thing. I think men have also, because you have that joke that's been going around where the woman will ask the man, am I fat? Like his wife. He won't say yes. He'll be like, oh, like we see that in commercials and everything. So it's also a thing where we've been raised to not necessarily tell the whole truth to women, to sugarcoat it a lot in many instances, which is not always bad, because some we have a saying in French that says toute vérité n'est pas bonne à dire, meaning that not all truth are worth saying, for instance, right? But because it's brutal. So there is that thing where women have always been like, and where I think it can be wrong is when we begin to take advantage of that, right? We sort of play around with that. But I think it's good to be smooth, but the truth still needs to be told, especially if someone is asking you an honest question. You have to find the strength to be honest with that person.
Well, theology says speak the truth in love. You have to speak it in love, And listen, if you got a girlfriend and she's walking up the steps, if you hear that sound, then you know your ass is too fat.
This is a banger.
All right. Y'all guys, give me a minute. That's funny, man. All right. So listen, I'm going to drop a link in a minute. I want to have a discussion before I get back to work. But how many men have been broken from the ravages of the past? I'm going to drop the link and we're going to have a discussion because this stuff is important. You can't uncover and recover until you deal with your past. Teddy Pendergrass said you can't hide from yourself. And I've always seen that as being true. You cannot hide from yourself and you can't hide from your past. The more you face your past, the more you will be able to eradicate some of the things from your past. But you got to be aware of it first. So I'm going to drop the link. Let's have a discussion. And to the guys that have not donated, donate to the channel. Donate to Cash App $7Smalls. Thank you to the ones that have donated. If you don't have anything to share, please share the content with as many people as possible. Sharing the content for me sometimes is better than money because it gets the message out. And I don't want to see any men suffering in silence or being broken due to the things that they experienced in the past. So I'm going to drop the link. And we're going to have a conversation. And get ready, guys, for tomorrow. I got a fire show coming up tomorrow night around close to 8 o'clock. And I want you guys to get ready for that show, too. So I'm glad I'm back. Shout out to people like James Turner, my man Drago's Flame, D'Amica G's, Miss Parker Back to Basics. I love you guys. And I'm getting ready to have a revolution as it relates to content. I'm going to start upping the ante. I'm going to start giving you guys great content to help you guys grow as well. So give me 1 minute as I drop this link. Hold tight. And I want you guys to pop in and share and talk about the things that you've been dealing with, okay? So hold tight. I know some of you guys are at work, but let's have a discussion. What are you guys getting from what you've seen with Will Smith? Hearing Will Smith defer power, does it trigger you? What schema affliction are you dealing with? What fixated mindset are you still struggling with? Do you see yourself in Will Smith? Do you see yourself with some of the toxic women that we have in America? Some, not all, because there's some good women that are trying to do the right thing. So shout out to the great sisters. But what do you see in yourself that you've seen in Will Smith? And so I've dropped the link. I want some of the guys to come on. Let's have a conversation before I get back to work in a few minutes. But I want you guys to come on and have a conversation. But in the meantime, Bridge Builder said that we have to remember we fight so hard to do right. Things like my mom hates that I'm better than my father. Then I realized, wow, why my father left. That's very profound. And that's vicarious trauma to some degree, but also it's classic projection, where she's placing some of her pain towards you based on what happened with her father. And boys shouldn't have to deal with that foolishness. And so, as I said earlier, there's a lot of dysfunction in the black family. There's a lot of dysfunction in the black community. Now, if you guys have experienced that, I've dropped the link. Please come on. Let's have a conversation. And I want you guys to give me your input about this situation with Will Smith, Jada Pinkett. And also, if you have become or still is a broken man, are you still broken from the past? Are you still broken from past relationships? Are you still broken from generational curses? Are you doing the necessary work to look within, do self-introspection to see where that brokenness has more or less impacted you in a negative way? So I want you guys that are listening to pop on. Let's have a conversation, because remember, in a conversation, it's not a monologue. It is a dialogue. So let's have a dialogue to the people that are listening. But until someone come on and share a discussion, because I'm sure some are at work, I'm going to continue to talk. I'm going to continue to talk because I know it's needed. And so to the guys that said that their mothers are still impacting them in a negative way, can you share with me some of the things that you're still harboring from that toxic relationship that you had with your mother? To the guys that are listening. The link that's been dropped, let's have a conversation. But if you don't feel like coming on, tell me how your mothers have impacted you all in a negative way. I know some of you guys are at work, but to the guys that are listening can come on, the link has been dropped. Click on the link. let's have a discussion. How have your mothers impacted you in a negative way? What's caused you to be broken mentally? What have you given to women that don't deserve the things that you've given to them? And why is that so important in your best estimation? So the link has been dropped, guys. I want somebody to pop in. Let's have a conversation. Now, one of the guys I'm proud of in the media here recently has been DaBaby. DaBaby actually is doing what a lot of men are doing. They're gaining their power back, and they're not letting toxic women like his baby mama control him. The fact that some of our women feel like they can abuse men is crazy. It's sad that some feel like that they can allow a man to abuse them and they won't, a woman to abuse them and they won't speak out. But DaBaby did something that a lot of men are starting to do when they get attacked verbally or physically by some of these very tenacious women, is that they are telling the police. And I would tell any man that's in a toxic relationship that if he is struggling with a very violent woman, that he needs to do everything in his power not to allow that woman to sabotage his future. How many of you men that are listening have had your future sabotaged because not only were you deferring power, but you allowed that woman to disrespect you? And you got to ask yourself the question, when you allow a person, man or woman, to disrespect you, you either suffering from low self-esteem or you are suffering from not understanding how those things are impacting you in a negative way. Shout out to my man Top Gun. Thank you, brother, for the $10 super chat. Keep dropping, keep cooking and dropping fire at work. Can't cam up, but I'm soaking it up. No doubt, brother. Thank you for the $10 super chat. Much love, Top Gun. We're going to have a fiery show on tomorrow, brother. We're going to have a powerful show on tomorrow. And it's going to be continuing to talk about the degreasing of the American mind and the American male. Because until you get your mind degreased, and this is in commemoration to my brother Al Grease, some of you guys will continue to revel in frustration. Al Grease came up with Frustrated 1, 2, and he's coming up with a Frustrated 3. So go check out his movie when it drops. And he's going to be talking about why so many black men and men in general in America are frustrated with the behaviors of some of our women, the lack of femininity, the lack of feminine demure, but also the lack of respect. And men know and understand that respect is the love currency for a man. When a man feels respected, he becomes the best version of himself. He's a lot more, accentuated or attuned to building. But when a man feels disrespected, he either suffers in silence or he more or less picks up behaviors that are antithetical to his long-term growth. Shout out to Mika G said, exactly, bridge builders. Also look for good traits from your loved ones and be grateful. It allows understanding and perspective, as you mentioned, blessings. And that's true. And JJ Cowboy said, you too, bridge builder, Mika. And he said, thanks, Mika G. Thanks, sister. And see, I love sisters like Mika G and Miss Parker, Back to Basics, and all the other good sisters that are trying to learn. But the sad thing is, guys, because some of our women are so toxic, they try to shame women like Mika G and Back to Basics, Miss Parker. Some of these women have realized that they've made errors or they've seen toxic and negative patterns. But these are sisters that are trying to learn. These are sisters that are trying to understand why men are struggling and suffering and pain. And we have a percentage of our women that will try to shame the good women for trying to do the right thing. And that's unfortunate because the black community is dying. Not only the black community, but the American community. Intact families are rare. Intact black families are a thing of the past. And so the question remains, how can we build or repair broken men when we have so many broken families? How can we repair broken men or damaged children when we have so many uncooperative women? How can we do it? Do black men just divest and get with women that's going to be on their program? Do black men become the better version of themselves by working out, eating healthy, stacking their money, and getting their passports with the understanding that women universally are the same, meaning women want money, they want status, they want protection, they want love. If you're a sucker in America, you will be a sucker abroad. You can't go to other countries thinking that you're going to get those women to respect you if you still have not done shallow work. If you're not done the self-introspection to your brokenness, you will become a broken man abroad. Now listen, while many of those companies abroad have not been impacted by caustic American feminism, if you go over those countries giving your money away, giving your virtue away without making a woman earn it, those women are not going to respect you either. Women only respect power and strength. But here's the difference, guys. Because so many men in America have been going through affection deprivation, many women abroad too have gone through affection deprivation. And because they've gone through affection deprivation, when they get men in America and when it comes together, it becomes soul fusion. Because now all of a sudden they're dealing with men that love them, and those men are getting the same love and respect that they so deserve as well. Because many men in America don't get it. They don't see it. They give their power away because they have not learned how to demand power in a relationship. Frederick Douglass said that power never conceded to anything without a struggle. It never have, and it never will. And so when you see entertainment stars like the baby from Charlotte, the 704, not deferring his power, you see women in an uproar. You guys will be surprised at the comments that they said towards this young man called the baby. Because the baby said that, he called the cops on his baby mom. And that's just a sign of his dysfunction for dealing with a woman that's that toxic. And so we have a lot of work to do in the black community, guys. I don't see things getting any better in this generation on this side of life. I don't see it, sadly. I don't see it because there are no safeguards here in America that's holding our women accountable. To the women that want to do the right thing, those women tend to be shamed. They're called pick-me's. They're called weak. They're called, you're listening to a man. And what women don't understand is that when they cooperate with their man, that's when they get most of their power. Her power is in her ability to cooperate and to be feminine, but also to learn to be silent at times. Now listen, am I saying that every man is ready for a relationship? No. That's why I'm doing this show. Because so many of you men are the exact exemplars or archetypes of Will Smith. So once again, guys, to the ones that are listening, and like Ms. Parker said, that we had to get back to the basics. You're right, sister. Those that have an ear, let them hear. Everybody can't go. Everybody won't understand. And you're right, baby. You're right. Everybody won't understand. Everybody's not going to understand, Ms. Parker. And that's why I tell guys, you got to leave the ones that don't want to listen behind. Harriet Tubman said it better than me. She said, I could have freed a lot more than they already know they were slaves. And so many men and women are slaves of their past. So many women are slaves to their own ignorance because they're not willing to do the introspection. They're not willing to do shallow work or uncovering to recover. Many are saboteurs of their own ignorance. They continue to sabotage themselves. They continue to become undisciplined in their emotions. They continue to run away good men that want to have relationships with them. But they have been so damaged by unsavory men from the past, they have been imprinted by negative men, and the men have been imprinted by negative women, that you have what's called a chasm. It's a chasm. And that chasm is keeping a lot of relationships from coming into materialization. And it's unfortunate. But I tell you guys that there's better later if you continue to work on yourself. When you focus on yourself, focus on your health, your diet, you drink your water, things get better. Shout out to my man, James Turner. What's up, brother? How you doing, sir? Unmute yourself, James. Mr. Turner, unmute yourself, brother. Can you hear me? Unmute yourself, Mr. Turner. Can you hear me, brother? James, unmute yourself, brother. While James is trying to unmute himself, Miss Parker said, right, so many people are so used to being broken that that's all they know and they don't want to change. And it's uncharted territory. You're correct, dear. As I said before earlier, I said that change takes place when the pain of your current situation is greater than the act of change itself. That's when true change takes place. The question is, are you really ready to change? The question is, are you ready to be liberated? That's the question. Are you ready to change? And are you ready to be liberated? James Turner, how you doing, sir? Can you hear me? Can you guys hear James Turner? So hit one. Shout out to my man, Ike Ogamian. He said, Mike struggles. Ike, I want you to pop in too, brother, if you listen to this conversation. I would love to hear your intellectual appeal because you're very intellectual. But what are you guys getting from this conversation? Because it's easier to repair damaged children than it is to repair broken men. James, I'm going to drop you off, brother, until you get your mic together. I can't hear you. But when you get your mic together, pop back on, brother. But I would love to hear your points of views, Ike. What's up, Ike, my brother Ike? What's going on, brother? I would love to hear your points of views as it relates to this pathology that we're seeing within the contextual framework of the United States. So many men are broken in relationships. You're from Nigeria, Ike. I don't think Nigerian men have the problems that we have here in America. I'm not saying that Nigeria is not getting influenced by Western thought or Western lore, but I don't think that American men, African men, have the same problems that American men have in America. Do we defer too much of our power? Do we not demand respect? Have many men been impacted by toxic relationships from their mothers to the point that they have no redeeming value or inherent worth? Is that the reason why so many men don't demand power? Because they have the negative imprint of the first person they're supposed to love them, which was their mother. And that's something to think about. So once again, guys, I have dropped the link. James Turner, can you hear me, brother? Can you hear me, sir? Hello. All right, I'm going to take James off. James, come back on when you want to have a conversation. Just come back on whenever you want to talk. Yeah, come back on. But to the other people that are listening, hold tight. Let's have a conversation. What are you guys getting from this conversation? What are you guys getting from this conversation about Will Smith and broken men? And what do you see yourself in this very nefarious equation? Because some of you have been impacted by the same women that Will Smith is dealing with. That Will Smith had the same struggles in his family. So I want to the guys that are listening to pop on and let's have a conversation because this is very important. This is very important. Hold tight. So my man, Bridge Builder says the old saying is that you can't get blood from a turnip. We have to quit trying to draw strength for things that can't help you. And I agree with that 100%, brother. We got to quit drawing strength for things that can't help you. I agree 100%. I agree 100%. So once again, guys, what are you getting from the conversation? Because we got a powerful show coming up on tomorrow. What are you guys getting from the conversation? Are you ready to demand power? Are you so broken that you don't know how to get power? Are you ready to deal with that negative imprint that you've been dealing with from the past? Are you ready to face your fears? Okay, hold tight. I don't know if that's for me. Hold tight. He said, please fix the mic issue. There's feedback. It's a high pitch. Almost like okay, all right. Give me a minute. I'm sorry. Let me try to fix that. Guys, if it's getting better, let me know. Hold tight, Mr. Turner. Mr. Turner, can you hear me, brother? Unmute yourself. Hold tight. Somebody said it sounds like a high pitch. Struggle streaming, guys. Do you guys hear that piercing noise? If so, let me know. I got all this new equipment I'm still working on. But we're back. I apologize for the technical issue. I apologize. Now, Bally 2007, if you hear that feedback, let me know, please, sir. Maybe I'm too close. But once again, guys, I asked the question, what are you willing to do about it? And thank you, Ike, for telling the audience to like and to share the stream. I appreciate that, brother. So when you see situations like Will Smith, guys, let me know if you see hearing that high-pitched noise. When you hear situations like Will Smith, what are you guys willing to do to get the outcomes that you want? So I'm going to drop the link again, and I want you guys to come in and let's have a conversation. Because power never conceded to anything without a struggle. It never have and it never will. What are you willing to do to get the outcomes that you want? What are you willing to do? Are you still a victim of your past? Are you still struggling with your past? So let's have a conversation, because this is not a monologue, it's a dialogue. I've dropped the link once again. Mr. Turner was trying to get in, but he was having mic issues. But to the 22 that are listening, please share the content and let's have a discussion. If you guys are at work, I understand, because I'm about to head to work in a minute. But in the meantime, Tell me why this is so relevant to the functioning of American black men. Why is this so relevant? Why is this so relevant? Why is it so important to repair broken men? Because you've seen it in Will Smith. It's almost baffling to have the understanding that a man would defer his power to the point that he's allowing his wife to talk about the sexual liaisons with another woman. It's baffling. And sadly, guys, it happens all too often. It happens all too often. Thank you, JJ D's a cowboy. Thank you, brother. It happens all too often. Ike, if you're there, brother, I'd love to hear your points of view, brother. If you can pop in for a few minutes. I'm going to be leaving soon. But Ike, if you're there, I would love to hear your points of view. But in the meantime, how many of you guys has actually gone to therapy to deal with the pain from your past? How many of you guys have actually talking to other men that are actually dealing with some of the same issues that you're dealing with? How many of you guys are willing to do the work to get the outcomes that you want? How many guys are willing to do it? Because if you're not willing to do the work, guys, you're not going to get better. You're not going to get better if you're not willing to do the work. All right, my man Ike. Brother Ike, how you doing, sir? The genius, the maestro himself, Ike Ogamian. Go check out my man Ike Ogamian on his channel. Ike is an intellectual. But Ike, when you hear this discussion, I want you to give me some input from a contextual framework that you see with the brokenness that continues to perpetuate here in America.
Oh, well, obviously that's a very broad question. And let me preface everything by saying, I came up because you asked, right? And I respect your platform. I respect what you're doing. And granted, I'm an immigrant in this, of a certain sense. I've lived in the United States for a while now, but I grew up in Africa, West Africa, Nigeria to be precise, which I'm actually in Ghana right now, also till February.
Yes, sir.
So the formative years were spent there. So one way to begin is to say, well, what are the differences that I notice, right? Perhaps that'll be, and it's just hard context differences. One thing that I notice, specifically within the African American community, is that there's a lot of talk of culture. And perhaps let me ask you what your thought of that is. And it tends to, it is my suspicion that when someone, if your culture is working, you don't notice it. It's like air.
Right.
It's like the water, you're a fish, you're swimming in water. You don't talk about culture and you don't talk about community if your community is intact.
Right.
But one of the things that I noticed is a lot of talk about culture and a lot of talk about community. And at first I did not understand it. It's until YouTube recently that it finally clicked that it may be a symptom of something going wrong, because initially it was just people wanting something cultural from me. And it'll be because I'm married now, but I'm married to an African, a Ghanaian actually, but I've dated African American women. And one of the things that I noticed is they expected some kind of cultural transmission from me, which I had no idea how to give them, because again, for me, the culture is just something you don't talk about, you don't notice, you just are what you are. Nigerians, I'm just a Nigerian. There is no prayer that I wake up and say every morning in order to affirm or continue to be Nigerian, right? It just is what it is. So I don't know what your thoughts are on that, as to there's a hyper focus on culture. Is it a symptom of a certain kind of brokenness? Does it actually lead to any is it a necessary thing, or should there be, I don't know if I'm coming across in what I'm saying here.
Repeat that.
Or
Can you repeat that? There was some, you were breaking up.
Well, my apologies. As I said, I am over here in. Hold on a second. Let me see. Let me make sure my Wi-Fi. Da, 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 da. I got that. I got that. Okay. So. Am I good? Because I can't hear you right now. Maybe I should hop off and hop back on.
I can hear you. Yeah, it must be some tech. Everything together, guys. I want you guys to pop on. Let's conversation before I get ready to go to work. Tomorrow, but I promise you guys, the issues that you guys see here in America, you don't see them in other countries. The men there don't tolerate it. The ecosystem is different. And the question remains, are some of you men willing to broker power? Some of you men willing to start demanding your power and your respect as men? Are some of you men still dealing with a negative mental imprint? James Turner, can you hear me, brother? Hello.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you, brother. What's going on, sir?
All right. All right. Doing great. First of all, thanks for having me on here, and thanks for everything that you do, first of all.
Yes, sir. Thank you, brother. Thank you, sir.
Man, I can't thank you enough. But I want to really quick, you did pose a lot of questions out here, so I'm going to take as many as I remember.
Yes, sir.
The first one about Will Smith. To answer your question, does it enrage me to see him acting the way he does towards Jada? My answer is definitely yes. But I did see a lot of myself in the way I used to be.
Yes, sir.
And it was one of those times where, just putting a woman on a pedestal, and as a result, like you said, deferring the power and getting the power taken away from me, and couldn't understand, and I couldn't understand, why it was not being reciprocated, because I tend to care for people like I want to be cared for. But what I had to learn is that the way ladies think about loving a man, or how they think about loving a man, is entirely different in regard to how men love women. It's different for a reason. I mean, it is what it is.
Right.
But I had to come to that realization with myself. And once I started embracing that, I went through red pill rage. I did. I'm like, why can't it be this way? Why can't it be this way? Now it's as I listen to you, a couple other people, I read more and stuff like that. It's all beginning to make sense to me now.
Right.
So now I feel that much more of an empowerment within myself, and I believe that's the key. I think the key is, learning how to care enough about yourself and stop worrying so much about other people. And I'm not saying be, oblivious or not care about people in general, but understand that if you are not in a position to love yourself first, how in the world are you going to ever be able to do it properly? Properly is the key word to somebody else. That's what I have to say on that. Now, like you, because we're around about the same age, as far as seeing the transformation where, relationships here in America particularly will come back to being more traditional in the way that things used to be, so to speak. No, I agree with you. I will not see it in my lifetime.
No, it won't happen in our lifetime.
No, it's not going to happen.
Right.
It's not going to happen that way. Let's see. What other question did you pose? I'm sorry. Like I said, you threw out a lot, and I was listening, but So I was like, well, which question do I want to answer?
Right. And so I talked about how, how many men have seen themselves in Will Smith.
Yeah, man.
How dealing with their moms have caused them to defer power. Mm-hmm. And what are they willing to do to get that power back? Because as I said earlier, the change takes place when the pain of your current situation is greater than the act of change itself.
Right.
And that's the question. Are you willing to be empowered? Are you ready to be empowered as a man?
Well, to start off with what my mom was, she was really, really, really strong-willed, and she demanded to be, served and that kind of thing, where, it wasn't a, how can I say, a upbuilding of a man, but more of a degradation of a little boy at that time. Mm-hmm. Now, my case, my dad was one of those people that were there. They were both married, but he was out doing his thing. Mm-hmm. So most of the rules pretty much came from her. But as far as taking back the power and becoming more empowered, if I don't owe it to anybody else, I owe it to God. How dare me, in his eyes, allow myself to defer power to anybody.
Right.
To anybody. And the more that I concentrate on him and less of myself, it becomes easier and easier. How dare I do that to myself? Mm-hmm. I can't afford to do that to myself.
Right.
I can't be a blessing to somebody else because I'm still stuck, so to speak, in, my negative thinking and my backward movement. So yes, I am absolutely ready to become more and more empowered, and understanding what that power means. And at this particular point, making sure that it's properly balanced. You can't just be, you just, as a motorcycle term, you can't just hold the throttle all the way open and you can't keep it closed. It has to be an ebb and a flow. The thing is just knowing how to do that ebb and that flow, and knowing how to love yourself, then knowing that ebb and that flow, it's becoming more and more and more easier.
Right. And it becomes easier once you realize, Mr. Turner, that you have inherent worth and inherent value. And that comes back to what we call value clarification. Once you clarify what your values are, it's a lot more easier, guys, to build your foundation as a man. But you got to go back and uncover so that you can recover. You got to uncover so that you can recover to lay the foundation to become the best version of yourself. And when you do that, then you can give the woman the love that she deserves. But it comes with a price. It comes with a price with her willing to understand your expectations as a man. But it comes with a price with your willingness to do the work to see the error of your way. Does that make sense?
That's a fact. And,
Does that make sense?
Yes. Can you hear me still?
Are you there, Mr. Turner?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Appears to be some technical issue. So, guys, real quick.
Anyway.
Yes. Did you hear me, Mr. Turner?
I heard you. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. I can hear you perfectly.
Okay. Yeah.
Are you? Is my mic clear?
It is now. Yeah. I was still hearing you. I guess you couldn't hear me for a minute.
Okay.
But yeah. You're clear. You're clear.
Okay. Did you hear that negative sound that people were talking about? You didn't hear it.
I don't hear it.
Did you hear it? Or you
I did not.
It? Okay.
I never heard it.
Okay. Right.
And
so go ahead, brother.
No, go ahead and finish what you're saying.
Right. So I was basically saying is that you get that power when you demand it. And the more you love yourself, and the more you start fortifying your mind with good barriers and good boundaries, then that woman going to do either one or two things. She's going to either adhere to your program and expectations, or she's going to flee. It's literally that simple.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, you only got one life, Mr. Turner.
That's a fact.
Only one.
Yes.
You will expire at some point.
Right.
And you don't want to be on your deathbed cussing and being sad, because now you're going to do ego integrity versus despair.
Yeah.
And that's the last stage of your psychosocial development. And so that's why I do these shows, guys. That's why I'm so serious about empowering not only black men, but all men, but also empowering our sisters, the ones that don't want to listen, because some don't want to listen, to understanding how men think and the things that men want.
And Coach, I will say this: not in regard to loving yourself, it's not. I'm learning too also that it's not just the women who has to respect you; it's also the men. And again, if you're not properly loving yourself, then you can't reach out to the brothers and properly love them or care for them.
Right.
And they can't, and you know how us guys are. We cannot see you as less than. The minute we do that, then the relationship dynamic can change for the negative. So again, when you come back to loving yourself, even with the fellas, then it's all good because they see you differently because of the energy that you are emitting from the way you speak, the way you carry yourself, the way you sit, stand, the whole 9 yards. So it's a whole total package. As I'm beginning to totally understand that. So yeah.
But well, kudos to you. And I promise you're going to be a better man because of it. There are a lot of good men that are selling for mediocrity.
Mm-hmm.
They're selling for women that don't really deserve their greatness.
Right.
And so my job is to empower men to look outside of themselves so they can look within themselves to do the uncovering so that they can recover. And once they do that, they're going to start getting the outcomes that they want. But it's work.
Mm-hmm.
And they got to be serious about change. Shout out to my man, MC Recovery, Wellness, and Relapse Show. Shout out to him for the $10 super chat. And he said, I was ice skating on my emotions and dancing around questioning my own belief system. And that's what happens when you don't know what your worth is. What's up, brother? How you doing, sir? And thank you for the $10 super chat, brother. Thank you, sir.
Hey,
all right.
You're welcome.
No doubt, no doubt. So, what do you want to add to the show before I sign off? I got to get ready to go to work, but what would you like to add to the show, real quick?
Oh, I just had a lunch break. What I wanted to add was like basically to that statement I put there, and that statement is like what I went through with my son. Mother is like I see myself in Will. Like ice skating on those emotions when in reality you was brought up in a certain way as you say because our biology tells us that this is not right because the way so my stepfather brought us up and I came from a family of 5 and it was also some steps which made it 7 and when I got with my son's mother it devastated me that after she had our son she said that they told her to cut her tubes and then I didn't know what to believe. It's like I took a risk. I got with her when she was 33. So when I hear all of these conversations right in the manosphere, this is exactly how the way or the majority of us men think. It's like we think family. And then I look at that in my biology, I always saw in my chemical brain biology, I always saw family within my family. I always saw, uncles and aunties and stuff like that with like 2 or 3 or 5 or 6 kids. So when she did that, I kept trying to put her back on my page, like get your tubes back tied so I could do my work. But what I didn't take in consideration is that she had some had mental health issues that she wasn't working through. So that always had me in a position of ice skating around my emotions because when I would go red pill, then I found myself dancing around certain stuff that I really wanted to say, but when I do go red pill and say what I'm supposed to say, that's when the sign language comes.
Right. And that happens because a lot of people are not willing and ready to accept the inevitable, that you have some inherent worth and value. Yeah. And you know, and so long they haven't seen men demand that power and respect. Yeah. So, you know, so that's it in a nutshell, man. You know, they're not ready for the truth.
Yeah, but like your mother hurt you. Right. Why you can't marry me? And your mother hurt you. Now it's like she's tooting a different tune because of the manosphere, and then and because of a few of the women that been on these shows too. Mm-hmm. She's seen that, you know, wow. Because it didn't allow me to go and conquer the world because the females had control over our commercial property. And while I'm over there, I'm getting phone calls like, you know, come home, take us out to eat and all this stuff when the big prize is to protect the inheritance. And we lost it all. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Lost it all.
Right. Real quick, in less than 5 minutes. What have you been doing to become a better man? What have you been doing? And how does it feel since you're taking those steps?
Well, I'm taking in consideration, like, you know, taking in consideration that I put some options on the table for her. That you know, if we do get back together, because we have a 14-year-old, and then he do like our relationship, so it ain't like but it's like, you know, but this road now is it has been fractured because I'm 57 now. Mm-hmm. So, you know, and then I was brought up that it's best to leave all of the money in the home and stuff, and maybe we may have to go down to the courthouse so I can reap some of these benefits, but at the same time, now this is one of them buts where I mentioned. Now, you know, options could be around the corner, but at the same time, she's still my first love. Mm-hmm. So I do look at that part. And today I'm one of those photographers that have been doing concerts and stuff lately. Mm-hmm. So it's like you still have to let me have this breathing room.
Right.
Because what I don't like about our family tree now, that I can see in the age group when it comes to our family reunions, and I went to my friend's family reunion, the ones that's down there on the tree, like from 10 to 25, it's not looking pretty, because it's like my son is 14, his cousin is 12. What is their choices finna be? Mm-hmm. So I did a video this morning saying that it's beautiful for me to look back at me.
Right.
That I'm being replaced. But is he gonna be replaced?
Right. What are his options? You know, yeah. Would he get a semblance of what you got from the past?
Right.
And
then
right.
Yep, and then my baby sister. I can see my mother in my sister, her daughter, and the granddaughter. Mm-hmm. It looks beautiful. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, I can see my little brother and my nephew, baby and stuff. So it's about passing things on and building our community about. So that's what my video was about this morning. It was a reaction to someone that wanted to attack Kevin Samuels. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I said, let me put something right out there to, you know, is because I'm in LA. I still haven't forgot. I need to email you that proposal for Black boys and young men, and you can pass it around and what's
okay. All right, no doubt. Well, listen, guys, we're going to sign off in about 2 or 3 minutes. Thank you, MC Recovery Wellness Relapse Show, man. I really appreciate everything.
And I changed it to wellness now because I work for LA County Department of Mental Health. So it's real hard to like put steps when you always moving and shaking and stuff. And look, they didn't gave me an award. Mm-hmm. They gave me a leadership award for community health worker for the first annual event. So, it is some work to be done. And the blessing is that my dad, this is my stepdad, still willing to put the down payment on a house or a duplex.
Right.
But the market is looking shady.
I understand. Understandable. Real quick, James Turner, we're about to sign off. And thank you once again, MC Recovery Wellness. I got to go. But what did you get from this show, brother? And how was it relevant? And guys, get ready for tomorrow. I got a good show coming up on tomorrow as well. But what did you guys get? What did you get from this show real quick, Mr. Turner, as I'm about to sign off?
Well, again, for me, it's about, first of all, it's about loving yourself, learning how to love you so that you can be a blessing to somebody else. That's the major thing that I got from it. And also, as you have alluded to, I do have my passport. And so my degree scene is on the way.
No doubt. I'm glad you're getting degrees, man. And I'm trying to liberate as many men as I can, because I know 100% unequivocal that when men begin to travel, world travel is a great equalizer. It helps men to see that they have options outside of America. And it helps men to understand that, when they travel abroad, they're loved and respected. It doesn't mean the women abroad are angels. They're human too. They got their own issues, but they have been conditioned to treat men like men mostly.
Right.
And I definitely advocate for men to get a passport and start, but before they go to do the shallow work and the work on themselves.
That's right.
Version. So anyone else I want to speak? I'm about to sign off. This has been a good show. It was a short show.
Thank you, Coach.
But like I said, man, I'm grateful for all the comments. I'm grateful for the love. And we're going to keep moving this show forward, guys. And guys, please share the content. Share this content with as many people as possible. Share with like-minded men and women. Help me get this channel to 3,000. Help this 3,000 get to 5 and help it get to 10. And we're going to keep pushing the message because there's not many mental health therapists in this space. I'm rare. And so I look forward to helping you brothers grow, heal, and to become better versions of yourself. At some point, I'm going to get a Patreon account, and I'm going to start a Patreon at some point. And also a YouTube membership.
Substance abuse counselors. See?
Right, no doubt. So guys, we're about to sign off. Like I said, be ready for tomorrow. I got another show coming up, man. And also thank you to JJ Diesel Cowboy. I would love to join the show tomorrow. Please do, brother. I know some of you guys at work, and we're about to sign off because I have to get ready and see some patients. And once again, guys, thank you for the support. I love you guys, and I will be seeing you guys. I will be seeing you guys real soon. All right, so hold tight. All right, be good, guys.
Thank you.